Good morning, everybody. It's Grand Admiral Wendell Starsaber. I'm here to discuss the Places of Power event, challenge event, which happened the last couple days here, and how to take on Challenge Tier 3 if you have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. This is something that you can cheese if you have your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren built out, and it's very long and kind of painful process because it requires you to basically sit there and absorb hits with your Kylo Ren unmasked and to deliver occasional hits with your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, so it takes a while, but it works. And one of the key factors here is, first of all, your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has the ability to use Siphon. He in game or whenever he hits with the not the brutal assault, but the stasis strike, he'll gain 40 siphon. And once he has this siphon, anytime he uses Furious Onslaught, you'll have Siphon Mastery, which gains a percentage of mastery equal to Siphon until the end of the encounter, and the target loses that mastery. And that's also something that translates over, strangely enough, to Kylo Ren Unmasked, who is the other core component of this battle. Now, Kylo Ren Unmasked is extremely tanky. He's one of the tankiest characters in the game. Right now, I don't have him modded for a lot of health. I actually have him, he's up around 80,000, about 60,000 protection, which disappears pretty quickly in this. I do have a lot of defense and a decent amount of tenacity here, so specifically my armor is almost 77%, so it's pretty high, and he's got crit avoidance at 35% as well, so that's all designed to try to keep him alive in this fight, because he will take an ungodly amount of hits. And the reason he can take it is his scarred ability. So whenever he takes damage, he recovers 8% health, and a random first ally order who doesn't have it gains advantage for 2 turns. So that's going to be Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, because everything else on your team will die off rather quickly, and that's designed that way. You want him to take a lot of the hits, because you want him to keep on siphoning, because his mastery also largely contributes to his health. So every time a siphon goes off, his health is going to be going up, and you'll be able to tell primarily by the amount of healing you will take each time he's hit. You'll find that by the end of this fight, he is healing for many hundreds of thousands of damage, based on the amount of mastery he has stacked up from Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So when you go into this event here, now I have a first order team that I go in for the first everything in Challenge Tier 2, and they can pretty much auto it. On Challenge Tier 2, I always take it off auto for the 8th turn, because with Foresight and everything, you kind of want to control what Supreme Leader Kylo Ren does. But as long as you proceed smartly, you can beat through Challenge Tier 2 mostly on auto. This likewise will also be mostly on auto, but it will be a different team. I pull off my first order here because as a result of getting Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, they're all at Relic 3. I want to bring in something a little more lower geared. So I take the bottom 3 characters I have health-wise, just so they die off quickly. I don't want to bring in the Sith Trooper because he's a tank and he's a pre-taunting. You want Kylo Ren and Mass to take most of the hits, and you want the rest of the team to die off pretty quickly. So it's really just Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren and Mask when you go into the battle. Now, the first thing you want to do before you hit auto, and what's going to happen is they'll go crazy. They'll attack Supreme Leader Kylo Ren a bunch of times. They'll cast their AoEs. You're just going to take tons and tons of hits before you even get a turn, because even though my Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has over 550 speed, these guys probably have, I would guess by the rate of fire, somewhere in the tens of thousands of speed. So you're going to see a lot of turns go off before you even get a turn. And that's just the nature of the business. And the first thing you want to do is get that stasis strike off to begin the mastery drain. Every round you go into, you want to start getting that siphon off, and then you can go ahead and hit auto because the rest is just gonna. It's just quicker if you do it that way. Because what's going to happen is Supreme Little Kylo Ren's going to go into his ultimate. He's going to be doing his AoE time and time again, and all the meanwhile, your Supreme Little Kylo Ren's going to be stacking the masteries the whole time period because his siphon doubles when he's in the ultimate stance. So that 40 will turn into 80. And because there's multiple enemies, he'll always do the AoE because that's just the way the AI works. So right now you can see the hits individually. They're only doing about 6,000 health back. Once you see that AoE go off a few times, you'll see it start to increase. And this is very important because what you'll find is round 4 specifically, now it's almost 7,000. Round 4 specifically, you face Jedi Knight Anakin, and what he has is the one thing that can foil this fight, and that's a heal block. And he does that to Kylo Ren and Mast, and they can take him out if his health isn't stacked up high enough and his defense isn't high enough. But if you can get it there, he should be able to survive. So you just want to get that mastery stacked up as much as possible. See, now we're almost 7,600, 7,700. That's a good thing. You want it to keep stacking. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, when he does take his turn, will burn these guys down. I'm surprised that my Sith Marauder lasted that long, but they just haven't finished him with AoEs yet. And his health, of course, goes right back to full after he does those big hits. But it's still going to keep on beating on Kylo Ren because that's where most of the attacks are going to go. And of course, when he counterattacks every single time, this is also building up Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's ultimate again. So next time he goes, since they attacked him so much and Kylo Ren and Mast counterattack so much, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's is going to go right back into the ultimate. So he doesn't even need to take a turn off. And if you get to the last one, this is where you want to start controlling the fight again. So you take it off auto, because what you're going to do is go into a stasis strike on the very first hit. Once you do get the very first hit, it's going to be a sec. We'll see if they actually take out the Sith Marauder this time. I expect they would. They get so many turns before you even get to go. It's pretty insane, but we'll go ahead and get that hit in. Waiting on Supreme Leader Kylo Ren to get the turn, and at that point we'll get the stasis strike in and go right back into auto. I'm not going to play all 8 rounds of this. It gets pretty repetitive if you hadn't noticed already. But I will go ahead and play through round 4 because that's the one that does have the... you do have to go in with a certain amount of planning, otherwise it will not work out for you. So now you can see Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's going to do more AoE, start to siphon more. Master, and you'll see those heals that Kylo Ren Unmasked is getting will go even higher. So now it's actually almost 8,000, 8,400. Sometimes it's weird. It goes off before, or the mastery's drained before he gets into the AoE. I don't know how exactly it works out like that, but for some reason it triggered early before I got the AoE off. Not a big deal. It's just as long as the master keeps stacking, and you can tell that by the size of the heals he takes. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren will go right back into his ultimate stance, and now we're up to 9,300. Finally took out Sith Marauder. Figured that would happen this round. Surprised it lasted that long. And yeah, it's just a slog. You gotta wait for all these turns, and you can see Kylo Ren unmasked. He's getting stronger and stronger each time he goes here. So it's eventually you're gonna see the amount of heals going on climb to fairly ridiculous amounts, and it's not even a concern at all. But it's just a matter of slogging through all this in the meantime, waiting on Supreme Leader Kylo Ren to get that turn. Now it's over 10,200. So it keeps on climbing, and hope it'll keep on doing that. And that's what makes this combination work the way it does. It's just the fact that he can heal so much more than they're doing damage that it's not even a real issue after a certain point. And yep, now we're over 11,000. So it climbed again. I'm not 100% sure what causes it to increment like that, but it just does. It should usually be coordinated in tandem with the AoE, but for some reason it kind of triggers on its own. If I figure out the mechanic, maybe I'll do another video just to clarify, but yeah, right now it just kind of siphons when it wants to, and you'll see it every time that Kylo Ren unmask takes bigger heals each time he hits. So we're well clear of 11,000 now. And it'll keep stacking, and like I said, when it really gets up there, you'll see it in the hundreds of thousands by the end of this battle. And it's just a waiting game. It's, like I said, it's tedious to be sure, because this will keep going and they'll keep taking turn after turn, and you're just gonna have to wait it out. This is why auto is so handy, because honestly, it's hard to even pay attention to when your character gets a turn if you don't. So the auto will just take that off your list of concerns, and you'll just beat them down. Over 12,000. Okay, now when it takes off two enemies, you want to go ahead and make sure that last hit is an AoE, because you want to siphon a little bit more mastery at the end. You don't want to, you don't need to stasis strike at this point. It doesn't do anything really to help you. You just want to siphon off a little bit more mastery, because that's the easiest thing to do. And then you can go ahead and track back into the ultimate, so you start the next phase in the ultimate stance. And you can pull off that stasis strike right out the gate and not have to worry about any ability blocks that come in. These are all some things to think about here as you're going into the phase. The key is taking control when you get into the phase, so you can get that stasis strike, and then you can move into your next, the rest of your auto for the rest of the phase until we get to the last opponent. So still in the 12,361. Shouldn't be too long before the next one triggers. And unfortunately, what you can't do is stasis strike and then AoE a stun target after. These guys move way too fast for that even to be doable. But you can go ahead and do the first one, and then just let running out of auto at that point. And as you can see, now that we've got the siphon on, we're up over 13,000 health regen each hit. So now that we have that siphon up there, it's going to keep on stacking. almost 15,000 now. Okay. Just let them keep on going. Over 16,000 now. Just let them keep doing their thing. It'll go up eventually again. And I wish I could figure out exactly what triggers each of the changes, because it shouldn't trigger in the middle of it so often, but it does. As far as I know, I don't know what it does. But now we're over 18,000. So if you're looking at it, he's probably somewhere in the vicinity of 200,000 health at this point. And it's going to keep rising. And because it keeps rising, that's what keeps you alive long enough to deal with the heal blocks in phase 4, because that's coming up next. That's where things get a little dicey. Almost 20,000. And sometimes they even feed him a little protection back. I'm not sure how that works, but sometimes you'll see his protection stack up over, and now we're up at 24,000. So you saw a few bumps in that period of time, which obviously will come in handy. The more it stacks, the better your chances of going into phase 4 and surviving. That's really key there. And then you go into phase 4 and you just really need to control that fight. Get your siphon off. Okay, we're up to almost 27,000. And it's just a waiting game at this point. Waiting to take a turn, get off the ultimate. Let them keep on beating on Kylo Ren and Mask. We're almost 30,000 at this point, health restored. As long as it keeps on stacking, the better your chances of surviving the next phase. Now that you're down to one target, save off so you can keep doing that AoE. You just want to siphon as much as you can. More mastery is good. That makes your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren hit harder and your Kylo Ren unmasked more tanky. And that's how you win this fight. So we'll go ahead and hit him again. Still at about 30,000, which hopefully should be enough to get through this. Go right into the ultimate so we can get the stasis strike on the next turn. That will be a huge thing. Didn't get a heal block off yet. Got a buff block, which means your protection probably won't stack either. But that's okay. This makes you last a little bit longer. And now, for some reason, it's bumped up to about 32,000. That's even before I had Siphon. Like I said, it's not 100% clear how that works, but as long as you can last here without getting a heal block, that makes this that much more survivable. Because every time Anakin does his basic, you risk that. And thankfully, all this mastery he's been stacking has also helped your tenacity. And now the heal block will come up. You might start to see the health dwindling. I'm going to go ahead and stasis strike Anakin at this point because that's really your only shot now. Once I get the AoE off, it'll clear that heal block in there, and that will excuse me, that's pretty much what guarantees that Kylo Ren mask will stay alive from this fight. But for the first time, you can kind of see, now that the heal block is up, his health is starting to dwindle a little bit. And that will continue until Supreme Leader Kylo Ren starts clearing those buffs. When he does his AoE. Okay, so now, as you can see, it cleared the buffs. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's tanking, getting almost 47,000 points that time, or health back. So you can see he's getting extremely, extremely tanky, over 50,000 now. So you're going to see as his mastery keeps stacking, Kylo Ren's going to take fewer and fewer debuffs. So hopefully we can hold out here without Jedi Anakin getting more heal blocks before Supreme Leader Kylo Ren can clear them off again, and that should happen fairly soon. I'm not super worried about the rest of this fight now that siphons up. He's going to just heal that much damage, and then Supreme Leader Kylo Ren will clear those buffs. So 57,000. Yeah, you can see we're looking pretty good at this point, and it won't be too long before Supreme Leader Kylo Ren takes out Anakin for good, and then it's pretty much smooth sailing from there, because the amount of heals that Kylo Ren amassed will far surpass everything that happens for the rest of this battle. 60,000. And it's nice when you see that Jedi Anakin dodge, or attacks get dodged, because he is really the only threat in this entire thing here. And once he's taken out, you can pretty much just round this out. They'll do more damage with that offense up, but it won't really matter because he is healing 5 times as much as the damage he's taking because his health is so high. So we're just going to let this go on a little bit more. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren will transfer into his ultimate. Who even thought to stun Jedi Anakin? That'll help. Okay. It'll keep going up. Jedi Anakin's out of the battle, and it should be smooth sailing for here. And you can see this mastery stack and more. He's almost 70,000 now. Get another AoE, clear the debuffs. Now that we don't have a heal block, there's really no threat at this point. So I'm just going to keep going on a little bit further, and then I'll finish the rest of this off the video. But I just want to give people an idea how this setup works. You can see over 75,000 now. You can see why this works so well. Kylo Ren unmasked, once he really gets ratcheted up in that mastery, he becomes so ridiculously tanky that despite the fact that they're hitting him constantly, they just can't make a dent in his max health because the shots do less damage than he heals by a very large amount. 83,000. One more AoE should pretty much finish this off. If not, it'll just leave 5s. Okay, maybe one more. He'll trigger his ultimate again here in a minute, and that'll probably clear this team. And maybe they'll stack a little mastery while they're at it. I'm just going to take it off auto here and just finish this out manually. Clear off. Okay, let's give that one more. Okay, success. So that's really it here. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off by myself, but y'all get the basic idea. At this point, the mastery's just gotten so ridiculously high that Kylo Ren unmasked, you can't be killed at this point unless he gets heal block, and heal block doesn't exist beyond this point. So it's just getting hit, counter hitting, and just letting it go through. Always remember to stasis strike on your first turn off auto, and after that, just let the siphons work for you, because Kylo Ren unmasked will just keep getting that much more beefy. And call it a day at that point. Definitely don't go to 1x speed like I almost did there. But that's really all there is to it. If you have any questions, please reach out in game chat or Discord. I'll try to answer them. This is Brand Allen Orlando Star Saber. Let the Force be with you, and signing out.